The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations. That's forming a
Good evening and welcome back. This is Lowe's Moore and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. What's my favorite word? I guess you guys could say it. I'm excited. Yes, I'm always excited each week to come on to the Blueprint and spend a little time with you guys. I want to say up front, thank you very much for all the support you've been giving the Blueprint since I've been on into my second year, and really excited to be back again with you this week. And let me jump right in it. I guess evidently somebody took my other pebble, but this is my new pebble here. It looked like it got a little work on it, but I'm going to drop it because I'm expecting, I just dropped it. I'm expecting the ripple effect, right? You drop that pebble in the pond and you get a ripple effect. You never know when the impact is going to come. Something you may hear, something you may see, right? It may happen for you right away, or maybe down the road, something said on the show by my guest, and you'll say, hey, you may be down and out or discouraged or looking to try to move forward, and something that one of my guests have said, all of a sudden you say, man, I remember when that person said this, right? So you never know where the ripple effect is going to have its impact. So I want to again say thank you for your support and of the Blueprint. And let me say, March is a very, very busy and exciting month. There's a lot of things going on this month. And particularly, this is Women's History Month. And so we're celebrating all month long. All of our guests, you're going to be some fantastic women. It's going to be awesome. Right. This is my pleasure, because I'm a son of my mother. I got a beautiful wife. Right. I have daughters. So we have to celebrate them. And let me say this, as I said in Black History Month. Right. We celebrate Black History Month, but every day we celebrate Black history. Right. And so although we pick out this month, or we selected this month for Women's History Month, every day is Women's History Month. Is Women's History. You don't have to wait for the month to celebrate women. So I'm excited about that as well. And there's a lot of things in this month, including I think it's disabled, the special needs month as well. There's so much stuff in it, so many good things in it, man. It's hard to pick and choose, but not one thing greater than the other. They're all of importance. And of course, this is, one of my favorite times. It's a sad time and it's an exciting time, but this is March Madness. I mean, this is when it's about to get crazy, right? And what's so crazy? It's about to end too, so we have our highs and then we get our lows, and college basketball will be over. We'll announce champions in most men and women's, and so it's just another exciting month, man. March Madness. And so man, I'm looking forward to every guest, and I'm looking forward to every one of you guys being with me during these next few shows. So I like to say this, that let me just jump right in it, man. I'm gonna give my my book of the week. Let me start out with that. Let me just jump right into it, like that, right? And Susan Rice, Tough Love. I had a number of. I probably given away about 25 of these books, to particularly my aunt, to a number of young women. Um, you know, I I like the vice president. I like the vice president. I don't know that she was my first selection. I think Suzanne Rice was my first selection to be the first black woman to be a vice president. But hey, Kamala Harris, vice president, she's awesome too. But I've watched and read so many things about Susan Rice over the years and so many interviews, man. And she did a very nice thing for the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. She came on a virtual during the pandemic, and she signed 100 free copies of books and donated to the Boys and Girls Club here in Mount Vernon. And that was a nice thing to do. But this is the book of the week. If you haven't read it, make sure you pick up your copy. And I'm every week I give a book. Right, every week I announce my book of the week. Right, every home, particularly in the African American home, every home should have a library. You should be building a library in your home, right? And you should have books. And because I'm always combating illiteracy, right? Because that is a real challenge in the African American community, and also in America and throughout the world. So make sure you read. Make sure you find the love of reading, and make sure you read something daily. So next is my word of the week. And so yeah, I've seen a lot of black women with this face, right? So the word is endurance. The race is not given to the swift, neither is it given to the strong, but only those who can endure to the end. And our women, and particularly African American women, have been enduring over the years. And I'm really excited that they're making tremendous strides, right? And man, they're climbing to the top of the ladder. And hey, my name is Moore, and we want more, right? So we want more women to keep going, right? So that's the endurance, right? And of course, man, be strong. I know this pandemic is trying to wear us out, but it takes endurance. Remember, the race is not given to the swift, neither is given to the strong, but those who can endure, right? Endure to the end. And then I got my quote of the week, my Pierce Harper quote, affirmation quote of the week, from none other from Coretta Scott King, right? She said, "Women, if the soul of the nation is to be saved, I believe that we must become its soul." And I do believe that, particularly in the African American community, that women are the soul of the African American community, right? And that's a powerful quote. And I like to say, man, I will never forget. We all have some things in our lives that we experience. And I happened to be in the airport in Atlanta. I was on my way home, and I happened to be walking through past this little room, and there was Miss King, and there was a number of people around her. But my family laugh at me, right? Because if I see somebody I recognize, and I recognize a lot of people, they get mad at me sometimes. Like I saw Allen Iverson in North Carolina in the Fayetteville Mall, right? And I was like, Mr. Iverson, my kids and everybody, they was laughing at me. Man, you don't be just going talking to people. I was like, how you gonna meet people if you don't recognize them? And me being me, so I realized this just didn't happen. It's been happening all my life, but I happened to be walking through the Atlanta airport on my way home, and there was Coretta Scott King, right? And I saw it was a whole bunch of people around her. I don't know if they were security or police or whatever it was, but I just walked right in. I just walked right in the room, and I just said, "Look, there's no way. I don't know when I'm going to see Mrs. King again." Right? Or if I will ever have the opportunity, I need to take this opportunity right now. I walked right in and I introduced myself, and I shook her hand, And, you know, I thanked her for all her service, her love, man. And I talked about how much I admired her. And she was so appreciative. She smiled. She said, "Thank you so much," you know, so forth and so on. So, hey, you see somebody, hey, don't miss the opportunity. You know, just go say hello. Right. So, but that's me. So I don't know if y'all want to be me, but that's what I do, you know. So, and then next, I have my music of the week. And of course, I gotta play this, man. You know, each week I try to play a little bit of the music of the week. BB whining, CC wine. This is CC. I know BB, but this is CC, and I know everybody loved this right here. I know y'all know what that is. I ain't gonna play no more because you like to get the Holy Spirit, man, up in here. You know, you know, and you know, the men will start feeling a little funny, but women just start crying, man, when you hear Alabaster Box, boy. You know, the spirit of the Lord will fall all on you, man, and you be I won't even be able to do the interview, man. You know, that's one of my favorite songs, and she's one of my favorite singers. So BB CC, I love BB and CC. Um, they're just awesome. So, but yeah, Alabaster Box is just an awesome song, man. You can't listen to that without getting emotional. And then also my movie of the week is The Genius of Aretha, right? And I think it was 8 parts to this on the Discovery Channel. Man, you know, endurance is what Retha did. Endurance, survival. I mean, all those things, man. Her story is truly amazing. Um, and that's my movie of the week. And I got a shout out, right? Again, correct. Well, oh, that's my mother-in-law. A happy heavenly birthday to me, mom. Right? Look at all them lovely pictures there, man. I mean, we miss me. Well, I was calling me mom back in the day. She was the first Whitley Gilbert, right? You know, she was Whitley Gilbert all the way. Man, I don't have enough time to tell you all the me mom stories, but man, let me just say this one, right? We watching the Knicks play when they was playing, when they was good, right? And so uh my father-in-law had a friend that was on the Knicks. So I was saying like, hey, is just your friend still on the Knicks? And he was like, nah, he got cut. So Mima comes in and she said, who cut him? Like that. I was like, what she say? You know, that was the funny thing. She thought somebody actually cut the player. Oh man, that was hilarious. And he said, my father-in-law looked at her and said, Shirley, he didn't make the team. He got cut from the team. He didn't nobody cut him, you know, like that. That was the funniest thing. But we got a million of those stories. Mima is just the greatest. If we have any more shout outs, I think we got some more shout outs here. Oh, yeah. Today, I don't know how many gold basketballs Mount Vernon High School has, but we won another one today. We won another gold ball today, man. I was over at the game, man, and I don't know, this is 2025. I don't know what it is, but we got so many gold balls, man. It's just, hey, that just goes to show you of the kind of work ethic and discipline, and also the loyalty and love that we have for the basketball team. I mean, and they, even through the pandemic, man, they just been an inspiration to the community. And so many young men and so many young women have just truly been a blessing, um, and have represented Mount Vernon extremely well. So again, congratulations to the basketball team. And I think we're ready to move, right? I think it's the introduction of our guests, um, Nichole Adams Thompson. One of my favorite last name right there. Yeah, anybody named Thompson. I always equate when I see Thompson with the famous basketball player David Thompson. So, I always say, "You related to David Thompson?" Oh man. But Nicole, welcome to the Blueprint.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, this is gonna be we trying to. I told Nicole earlier. I said we trying to get to know Nicole. I know I read up on her. I've researched and stuff like that. And of course, we have common in regards to relationships and family, right? And we call Aunt Evelyn. Yeah, yeah. Aunt Evelyn always. Well, you got fantastic hair. I mean, you seen that the last picture? I was going to ask about like all the changes. Yeah, I love the color, right? I love the color. I love the styles. I was looking like, okay, you got some styles going on here.
Oh, there's some research on me. Look at that.
And then Aunt Evelyn always had the what? She had the little fro.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. I love it.
So there she go right there. She got that little fro on.
Yeah. I love
it. So Nicole, how are you?
I am wonderful, 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 and certainly glad to be here today.
Oh yeah. So I usually not usually. I do start the show off with 3 questions, right? And as we get to know you, the importance of family, the importance of faith, and the importance of education. And so take us back a little bit, parents, siblings, sibling rivalry, any of those things. So we'll bring us up to current.
Yes.
And we just have a good time.
Well, I certainly have an amazing family. Both of my parents are relocated from the Bronx, and they're now here in Atlanta with us. And I am the oldest of the 3. My brother is next, Nate the 3rd, and then my sister Alicia follows behind. And so I've always coined myself as being the number 1 child. Twofold, right? I certainly am the first.
Okay.
I also sometimes think that I'm the number 1, and I mess with them all the time. I'm like, I'm the only one that can say I'm the number 1, but truly love my siblings. We were raised and nurtured in a wonderful, loving environment. But that loving environment came from the love of Jesus, and we were raised in the church. We have a wonderful family, both maternal and paternal, very close with both sides of our families. And the roots of Christianity and faith run deep. From my maternal grandparents and my paternal grandparents, there's ministers and deacons all across. And so we had a praying family. And I certainly know that I'm benefiting from those prayers, and the Bible talks about those generational blessings. And there's times when I know that it was the prayers of my great grandmother or my great grandfather when I received some of the blessings. And I'm just certainly grateful for my family, for my parents. My mom just turned 75, and my dad just turned 80. So certainly grateful for them. And I certainly have a wonderful family of my own. I'm married for 27 years to my college sweetheart, Troy Maurice Thompson, and we have 4 children.
He says, that's right.
Yes, that's my college sweetheart. And we went to Clark Atlanta University, met there. He's from Omaha, Nebraska, and he fell in love with the Bronx girl. And we have 4 children. Troy the 2nd, who is a lieutenant in the Navy, and Tanae Thompson, Taylor Thompson, and then our baby girl who's 13, Tori Thompson. And so those are my TMTs. They all have the same initials, and I'm the only one without the TMT initial, but that's okay. I spread the love amongst all of them.
Wow. No. Yeah, wonderful family, man. And you said Nebraska.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't,
That's the
being
most.
honest, I'm gonna be honest. You know, I didn't know any was, you know, black people was in Nebraska, uh but then my brother went to Nebraska. He went to Nebraska University and he played basketball there. So I realized because when he signed in Nebraska, first of all, he went to Independence in Kansas Community College, right? So he graduated from there, and then he signed a not contract, but he signed to go to school at Nebraska, right? And I was thinking like Nebraska, you know, I thought it was bad because I didn't know, you know, I didn't know how many black people were in West Virginia, you know, so I couldn't say a whole lot to him. But Nebraska, at least I knew where West Virginia was. I had no idea where Nebraska was. But yeah, he had a great experience down there, and the people of Nebraska loved on him while he was there. So yeah, I guess there's a few of us there.
Yeah. Well, in Omaha, that's where Malcolm X was born. So
Okay.
that was his home town, and we actually lived in Nebraska with our three oldest children for 7 years. So you know, it was a good place for us in Omaha, and a place that I had originally said I would never ever live. It was a good place for my husband to be from. But you know, you never say never, because that's where God planted an opportunity for us that we could not resist. And I'll never forget crying with one of my best friends, Meredith Lawson Rowe, and she says, "Move, you got to go. You cannot, you know, allow this opportunity for the family." And it was the best experience ever, and certainly a wonderful time for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, and for all of us, I mean, we may want to settle someplace,
Mm-hmm.
but while we're trying to get to that place, you know, my wife and I, we were married. She was still in college. I was playing professional basketball. And so we were in different places and we had to learn how to manage. You know, then coming out of that, we were back home for a moment and then living in Albany, New York for 7 years. You know, actually had a couple of kids there, you know, while we were there. So, but I mean, yeah, until you find this, you know, the foundation, the stability, you know, and what you guys wanted to find a place where you enjoyed, you want to spend the time there. And, you know, Nebraska happened to be one of those stops.
That's it. That's right. And you can't block those blessings. You know, I think sometimes we far too often look at locations and saying, well, I'm not going to move unless it's here or it's there. And you never know what God has for you and the lessons that you'll learn when you just expand your mindset a little bit and step out on faith, right? And to see the blessings and allow those blessings to manifest. And I can't imagine if we didn't go, because certainly I could have said to my husband, we're not going. And he would have adjusted, right?
Right.
But the blessings that came as a result of me saying, yes, Lord, right? And I'm trusting you and the blessings that come from that.
Well, yeah, the other thing I think too is important is that sometimes you can be at home with your family, you know, like your mom and your dad and everybody. But for what we found in those 7 years was that we as a couple had a chance to grow, you know, to grow and be responsible for ourselves, for our kids, and it gave us a chance because Albany is not like Nebraska, but it was more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Mount Vernon, it wasn't near New York City where the hustle and bustle of life was you know, going on. It caused for us to kind of relax, enjoy ourselves, enjoy the kids. You know, I'm sure you had some tumbleweeds out there somewhere.
Some corn. We would have corn in the backyard. And
That's right, the corn hustler.
There's corn.
Yeah. Well, you know, I knew a little bit about Nebraska because they had such at way back then when my brother was playing football. That's why I couldn't understand. Football was big. Yeah, not basketball. I was like, you going to play football there? You know, like I don't get it. But that was his selection, and I was supportive.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned about faith and so in well let before we get into that process, let's talk a little bit about the education process. And in terms of the family and your journey through that education process?
Yeah, so I am a product of the New York City public school system. My early years, I did go to private school. I was at Nichole Academy until second grade, but thereafter, all the way through high school and graduating from high school, it was the city of New York public schools in the Bronx particular. And so PS 76 and Olinville Junior High, and I'm a Mustang. I graduated from Harry S. Truman, and I was a smart girl. Elementary school was great. I soared, had great experiences there, and that afforded me the ability to go to the 7E1, 81, 91, which are the accelerated classes in public school. And those environments were good. But when I got to high school, I felt, and there was no other pressure but my own, but I felt it wasn't cool to be smart. And so I had a difficult, self-inflicted, difficult transition through high school. And, now I know, and looking back and assessing what happened through that time period, it was difficult to be educated at Truman High School. Right. And so, I made it through. I knew I was going to go to an HBCU. My dad was an executive at the United Negro College Fund. And so I spent many years studying the different schools that I'd be interested in going, and wanted to be a broadcast journalist. And my eyes were on Spelman College. You could not tell me that I was not going to graduate from Spelman. A different world had come out, right?
Yeah.
HBCUs had become popular. And so I was going to Spelman. But what I didn't realize is how I underperformed academically in high school was going to be a hindrance. And up to this point, my father could fix everything as it related to me, and as it related to what I might be going through. And I'll tell you, I couldn't understand it when he couldn't fix it to make it so that I could go to Spelman College. I'm like, Dad, what do you mean? How can I not be accepted? My SAT scores were off the charts, but I did not have the grades. And Spelman, at the elite school that it was, told the executive of the United Negro College Fund that his daughter wouldn't be able to go. But if I, had a good semester, they would allow me to transfer. Well, then I was upset. I'm like, oh, y'all don't want me, huh? I matriculated to Clark College at the time. It became Clark Atlanta University a year after I joined. But what an amazing experience. Me not getting into Spelman was probably the best thing that could happen to me for many reasons, right? Because you learn, you grow. And when you are able to really step back and assess the errors of your ways and things that you controlled, right, that caused you to be in the situation that you were in. And it's not because you didn't have the aptitude. You were smart, you're intelligent, but you chose to be lazy. And so that was a poignant catalyst for me for the rest of my life. And one that I'm able to tell so many young people is just do not sit back and waste the gifts that God has given you intellectually and academically to succeed and to push through. But we've also got to make sure we put our students in the right environment, right? And so my parents learned thereafter, nobody else went to a public school in New York City, right? Everybody else went to Catholic schools. And I laughed with my brother and sister and said, I helped you. I paved the way so you had to experience what I did. But I mean, what an amazing, opportunity for me to be able to understand. I'll never forget the hours that I cried when I realized I was not going to go to Spelman. But what Clark Atlanta University has done to me, for me, is a life. I mean, they helped me to make a way and to find one when there might not be one. And that HBCU, and you and I, Lowe's, we talked a little bit about it. There's nothing like it. And I later went on to law school at Syracuse University, a large, fine institution. And I love SU, but it was nothing like Clark Atlanta University and the family that you have with the professors and the ability to be open and transparent about everything as it relates to being Black. And the things that you have to succumb when you go to a POW that, when we went to law school, my husband and I would look at each other and say, thank goodness we matriculated through an HBCU so that we have a level of foundation and understanding of who we are. But that balance for us of an HBCU undergrad and then a POW for professional and graduate school was a great balance. But I love my HBCU. I love my Clark Atlanta University.
Right. And then you went on, man, I think you got some more stuff you haven't shared with us in the education part. We're celebrating Black History Month. You were honored at Syracuse University, and I just saw Rob Kent just put up SU. You're gonna drive me crazy with this.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to find some people from West Virginia University. There you go, there go Rob right there.
We bleed orange too, Rob. We bleed orange too. Yes. Certainly.
But
certainly
before you answer what I had, the statement I had just made, you were dropping some nuggets and some dimes there. I mean, I hope that some parents who are listening, or those who someday will be a parent, you were dropping that, really, not everybody comes through life on a silver spoon or that magic carpet ride. That we struggle sometimes, whether you be in a public school or Catholic school, or I find today private school, there are challenges everywhere. And there's, I think Rick Warren said in his book, On the Purpose Driven Life, life is a test, right? And so, and those tests, some of them you pass, right? And some of them you fail, but they motivate you to move forward. And I hope some parent or some person is listening out there, because share with us next, or the next things that happen, to bring you to kind of where you are now.
No, absolutely. And so I had a new level of resilience, or to use your word of the week, a level of endurance after the rejection, if you will, of not getting into my first school of choice. And when I matriculated through Clark Atlanta University, again, wanting to go into broadcast journalism, I wanted to ensure that I was active, that I learned my lessons. I had developed a great group of resources of friends, joined a sorority, became very active in my space while at Clark Atlanta University, and was able to have great conversations. Those are my line sisters there, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yes. And some wonderful women with so many vast backgrounds, but I was able to have transparent, open conversations with my professors about broadcast journalism and what that career trajectory would yield. And so what I realized is that I wanted to add to another level of my education, and that level of education was in the realm of law. And to go to a large institution that had a strong communication school. And certainly Syracuse was one of those. And so I applied to Syracuse, to Temple, also to Howard University, another HBCU. And while I was not excited about the city of Syracuse and where it was located in central New York, particularly coming from 4 years in the Southeast, right? I recognize that would be the best place for me. And over the 4 years at Clark, I also that word endurance, right? But learned that the path forward, you don't take the easiest path forward. You cheat yourself individually, and if you've got a spouse or a collective other, collectively, when you shortchange your ability to grow and to stretch as an individual. And so I championed to go to Syracuse, leaving my sweetheart and significant other behind. And I cried like a baby at the airport when he left me. And so we would talk every night about what we were learning, what I was learning in law school. And he was actually a computer science major, but was on the fast track management program at Bell South in Atlanta. And he said, I think I could Syracuse has this wonderful law and technology program. Maybe I'll apply. I was shocked. I was like, there's no way you're going to apply. And he sent me his acceptance letter. And he joined me in Syracuse a year later. And so, we really collectively now, as a married couple, education became very important to us, individually, collectively, and even before we began to have our own children, of becoming our best self, studying, reading, understanding the value of all that the educational realm can offer, right? And what I learned at Syracuse was that the law was so vast. Unlike many other professional disciplines, particularly the medical field, which is very narrow, right? You go to medical school and you will pick a specialty, and that's really narrowly focused on what you will practice in your specialty. The law was not like that. In order to take the bar, you had to be well versed in 6 topics of the law, right? And to take and to pass the essay portion of the bar exam, based on whatever state you wanted to be in. On average, you're needing to learn and understand 15 to 20 different disciplines of law. And so it's a vast study and concentration and effort. And I realize, as I'm beginning to learn and expand my knowledge base, is that the entertainment space was great. I loved it. But I really saw value in an employment law that really piqued my interest. And I recognize that transformed across so many industries. And so I will take some electives in the employment realm, but still having my eye on the communications, entertainment law space. But who knew that fast forwarding 6 years, I'd end up in the employment law space. And that's where I would spend my entire career, for which I absolutely love the space of employment law.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more about employment law. So talk a little bit about what that is.
Yes. So employment law, it's vast, right? So you can practice law traditionally in the employment law space, meaning that you could work for a law firm and you're representing either on the defense or offensively, if you will, the corporations, defending them for non-compliance in different aspects of the law, or representing them on other fronts. Or you can be in-house in a corporate space, either as an in-house counsel with the focus on employment law, or in a large organization. There's so many specialties, whether it's benefits, and that's a space of the ERISA laws and all of the rules around 401k. And I don't want to get too technical here, but there's a whole myriad of laws and rules around ERISA. And large organizations, corporations such as Google and Home Depot, Delta, they have whole departments to ensure that they are meeting all of the employment laws in that space, whether it's whether it's ERISA, whether it's EEOC, which is where I started in employment, equal employment opportunity. You hear so often the harassment and of employees, right? And the defending of those employees, or you can be in a non-traditional role, which is where I found myself and where I soared, and that's in the space of HR. And so I started out in HR as a entry-level manager working with Target stores, to which I truly understood the role and the importance of HR being a business partner and making sure you understood the business so that the people strategy could be aligned with the business strategy. And then I went on to Union Pacific Railroad, and I was in a compliance role, and I defended the organization against all of the internal harassment charges that would come with our 125,000 employees across 25 states. And so I would have to do the investigations, go on site, and really understand the dynamics of what happened. And I would have to do what's right. And so I initially said I defended them, but what I defended was ensuring that as an organization, we were doing the right thing. And there were several times when we weren't. And I was I had to ensure that I expressed to the senior leaders, and I'll never forget one time even the CEO on why we needed to take an action to terminate for gross misconduct a senior leader who was a high performer, right?
Right.
But sadly, this high performing senior leader did not do the right thing, and took some actions that should have been handled accordingly for. And the CEO supported my decision. And so that was a space when I realized I'm on the forefront. I'm on the forefront of being proactive in the employment regard, as opposed to on the law side, defending the actions after they happen, right? And so I readily recognized at that juncture that I wanted to be a driver of change for employment and employment actions, and that would be the trajectory of my career pathing. And fast forward now, I've held tons of different mid-level to senior level, and now I'm at the highest level of HR in the C-suite. I'm the only woman, the only Black as the senior vice president, chief people officer for the FLS Transportation.
Right. We're going to get into what that is. But what I was intrigued about was also the people officer. Can you explain what is a people officer?
Yes. So, here's the thing about job titles, right? A lot of us get caught up in what the job titles are, and we can go back and forth on if it matters or not. But for me, I wanted the title of Chief People Officer versus the title of Chief Human Resource Officer, because the people were so important to me. And I wanted that focus to be a part of the vernacular in my job title. And so there's a lot of movement in the HR space, in the human capital space, where we really are becoming the strategists of the organizations. Many organizations really are the life and breath of their organizations are people. And there's got to be a people focus and recognizing that. And so that was important for me when I took on this role, that it wouldn't just be the Chief Human Resource Officer, which is the traditional term, but that there was an emphasis and that there was a focus on the people. And that's what was important to me. And so that's where the Chief People Officer comes from. I represent the people and ensuring that we have excellent employee relation employee experiences, that we're developing our people, that we're creating environments that are best for our people to thrive and show up every day. And when we're not, we're listening to the people, and we're able to pivot and to ensure that we're adjusting our approaches, and that our managers are also flexible and nimble in that approach as we really focus on and emphasize engagement.
Well, yeah, yeah. When I was looking at the the write up on you and different things like that, that intrigued me right away about the people officer. I for 27 years, because between development and as an executive director for the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. So a lot of it is, human resources and integrity and all the other stuff that goes with that. Um, I always had the opportunity to see the people that work for me as family. They were human beings. They weren't just people who work for me. So I was intrigued by when I saw that title, and I thought that was that was different. And one of the other things I thought about was, as people of faith, and learning how to manage, because in ministry, right, there's what I consider is the overt ministry, and in some businesses and some career opportunities, you can't be overt, right? So you have to be covert, right? And so it's important. People say I'd rather see a sermon than hear a sermon any day, right? So it's about the example, and the culture that's being set, that you represent Christ in that sphere of influence. So talk about the balance between faith and that part of the career, faith and doing the job or the career.
No, absolutely. And so first and foremost, I'm a child of the King. I am a Christian when I'm in church, and I'm a Christian when I am in my C-suite, and how we handle our people and the business initiatives. And so, in that space, it's important that my light shines. It's important that I walk the talk. And that my light is an example to others. And so I am a servant leader. I pride myself on the ability to ensure that the example that Jesus gave us, and it's so clear and it's so crystally described, right, in the Bible, and in the many different formats that you can read it in. I try to let my life be that example, the way Christ has led. And there's a book that I read early in my career, Jesus CEO, and it's
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's life-changing for me because I struggled a little bit with, there's some balance within an organization around allowing all faiths, right, to be purposeful in the work environment, and what would that do for me? Am I dimming my light when I'm not able to allow prayer in a meeting, right? And so what God and the Holy Spirit showed me is that our light can be strong, and it can shine in many ways without us having to put one religion or another at the forefront, right? But allowing the behaviors of each other to really be what you focus on. And you can do that and still be the Christian that you are, right? And allowing your light to shine by your behaviors, by how you respond to others, and by how you talk to others, and by how you empower others the way Jesus would empower you. And I don't have to say the word Jesus any day, right? But my light is certainly an example to others. And most importantly, my life is an example and purposeful for what that is of God.
Yeah. And, I remember being a part of an executive leadership training, and they asked me what type of leader I was. And I said I was a servant leader. And at the end, it's funny you said that. At the end, the guy said, "Servant leader?" My responsibility is to serve.
That's right.
Right. To be an example and the light first. Right. That and when you are that light, then people are willing to follow you. And that was one of the more powerful, since we're in March Madness. And that was one of my most powerful college coaches was John Wooden. Right. And he was a servant leader. Right. And he used that servant ability that leadership ability to grow men.
Mhm.
Right. And some people say, oh, you can't be a Christian and win. But we was talking about Coach K yesterday, and he's talking about how great his career was. And certainly was. It was amazing. I wanted to watch, because I know look at 80 men showed up.
Yeah.
Who, and evidently he was a leader. But John won 10 championships in 12 years.
Mhm.
Right. And when you look at his resume of men that were developed during that time, and that's the power of servant leadership. So yeah, and so yeah, I was thinking about that. So that people officer thing just like touched me. I was like, oh, good, yeah, because you don't hear it all the time, man. You hear about most of the time in human resources or any business is about bottom line.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And there were many organizations, and particularly in the book you just mentioned, Jesus is My CEO, right? Where you talk about the bottom line, right? And some companies like IBM and certainly in the past, IBM and a number of other companies were about their bottom line was family.
Mhm.
Right. And as they treated individuals like family, right, they got the results. They manifested the results that they were looking for financially. Right. But most people are driven by their bottom line being the resource,
Mhm.
not realizing that the people are really the resource.
That's right.
Right. So that's why I was intrigued by when I seen that. Something I'm gonna have to talk about that one. Well, you gonna have to talk about it because that was important to me.
That's right. Well, people are
Yeah.
the number one asset, right? That's in most organizations. I mean, that the people are the asset, and it's important that we make sure that they understand that we value that, right? And then you align your strategies around that.
Yeah, definitely. And so talk to me a little bit before we go into, I want to go into this curiosity conversation, but talk to us a little bit about FLS Transportations and what it is.
Yes. So FLS is a part of the supply chain. We are a third party logistics organization and brokerage. And so we don't have assets from a trucking perspective, but we acquire through partnerships the carrier bases to support some of the largest customers. And so our large customers are Nestle Water and the Home Depot. FedEx, believe it or not, is our third highest customer, ensuring that they have the trucks, although they have their own asset pool. They're not always able, and I don't know how many of us know, the capacity constraints that we have from truck drivers right now, right, is the shortage. And so we have a unique way of bridging the independent truckers, right? So the owner operators that have one truck to those organizations that have 100, 200 trucks. And we build those relationships with them and are able to, in unique and innovative ways, link those carriers to our customers to ensure that they have the right resources to move the goods across the United States and into Canada. And our cross-border business is really what our cutting edge is. That's how we really have made a name for ourselves, and that's from Canada to US, and then back into Canada. And so FLS has been in existence now for 35 years. It was sold by its original founders 6 years ago. And I am a part of the private equity realm of the organization that is growing the business. We're, as I said to you before we started, having an amazing year in spite of all of the supply chain challenges. I'm really doing well in our space, and we've got a dynamic workforce that knows this industry, and we're actively hiring to recruit others to join us in this effort. To ensure that we're connecting all of those goods and services across the United States. And so it's a great organization. I'm certainly proud to be the head of their people effort. And I have a great CEO that I work for, John Leach, and a super senior leadership team.
Yeah, and I in my research, it looks like that you could have some amazing growth. People come in at different levels, and it doesn't seem to be a glass ceiling. You can like kind of go as far as you want to go in the organization.
Yeah, you can go as far as your skills will allow you to go, right? And
Mm.
so I'm really, really big on ensuring that we place people in the right positions, right, at the right time. And if it's not the right time, that we're constantly giving them really open, transparent feedback, and helping them to develop. So often, and particularly in my role, I've seen it all the time where you've got someone that's a great individual contributor, and we want to put them into a role that they're not ready for, right?
Mm.
Because they're really, really doing well in their current role. And so I really am very particular about how we promote, and ensuring that we're setting our folks up for success and being transparent with that, right? The worst thing that you can do with your workforce is not being clear on their performance, and their career trajectory and their career pathing. And so we're working well to be transparent in that approach as well.
Yeah, that's like what's that book? Getting the people on the bus, get them on the bus,
Yeah,
get them the right seat on the bus.
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I was intrigued by in only 35 years. I mean, you guys have made some tremendous progress in 35 years, which is nice.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's not over yet. It's going to be amazing. Our years ahead are certainly going to be that much more explosive in growth, from a growth perspective, than the years behind us. So it's exciting times.
Well, yeah, and so, I want to get to the curiosity, but I got to ask this because last week we had Lucy Progan on, and she worked with NASA and a program analyst. She's about to take her first missions trip to El Salvador, and she's with NASA, right? And I was listening to some of the stuff on NASA, man, and just being in the time we in, we can find ourselves in a place of a spirit of fear,
Mm-hmm.
or get stuck and not want to move forward. But when I listened to some of the stuff at NASA, and they was thinking beyond, where we are right now, and looking at FLS Transportation, and I was reading through some of the stuff and looking at the innovative and creative, thought process, and you just said it, right? Yeah, we got to look at the future. The future is amazing, and sometimes in things like the pandemic, right, it causes for us to think outside of our box,
Yeah.
right, and don't be limited by that box, and continue to grow. And I found that to be exciting, what you just said in regards to, where you guys are going.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Our innovative nature. I mean, you've got to be innovative, as you're looking forward. And so many organizations that we knew of, right, that were not innovative, and they got used to being good, right, versus being great, and they're now extinct. You look at Xerox, and you look at some other organizations, right, that were leaders in their industry, but they stopped being innovative, and that's something that we're really focused on, particularly with our people, right? Your people they know all what's going on, and can be so crystal clear on little things that can be done to enhance what we're doing as an organization, and to take you from good to great. And so FLS is certainly empowered by our people, and their innovation, and listening to them. We really pride ourselves on listening to them. And so you can follow FLS, and we're on LinkedIn. And FLS Transport is our LinkedIn following, and would love to have you follow us.
Yeah, and I love that, man. to be creative like that is just awesome, man. Yeah, I was about to take us into another direction, but yeah, I wanted to get into this curiosity conversation because the family, right, are big basketball fans. I mean, well, not fans, participating in basketball. So talk to us a little about, you got a family full of basketball players, and so you've been a AAU mom
I
and
have.
AAU parents. So talk a little bit about the kids and the things that they're doing.
Yeah, so I know my son is listening, and he was the only one that was not. Oh, there he is, who was not on the basketball, if you will, at the same level as the girls. He played football. He was a quarterback at Navy, and so he started us in the athletic realm, if you will. But it was the two girls that immediately followed him that took up the sport and the game of basketball, which was my husband's sport. He was a point guard in high school, and so he could not have been prouder when they put away the tap dance shoes and the ice skates and decided to put on some basketball shorts and pick up a ball and dribble. And so when you see the passion of your children, I knew nothing about the game of basketball, but I knew that the love of the sport for my girls was important, and I needed to understand it and I needed to learn it. But what my husband really taught me was I needed to be a mom also, right? Because in competitive sports, dad is he's gonna talk to them about the plays that they took off and when they didn't get back and when they should have done whatever. But they need mom to just love on them, right? And so
Right.
I was that cheering mom. And there's Taylor, that's number two daughter. We, wanting to make sure that they knew we were supportive of their efforts, and wanted to ensure that they were able to connect the dots of basketball and life, right? Because no matter what sport your children play, at the end of the day, the ball is going to start dribbling, or you're going to stop throwing it. The touchdowns will stop being made.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen, right? And so for me as a mom, it was always important that I was translating the game of sports, and for us basketball, into the game of life, right?
Yes.
And there's so many lessons that occur being a team member and giving your all, and being resilient, and having that enduring ability, right? That translates into the work realm. And so I was always, and particularly I'm in HR, right? So I was always making those correlations of those behaviors, and ensuring that those skills were being developed. And it was a wonderful ride. And now here we are with number 4, starting it all over again. And we're excited about where Tori is, and she's in her 6th grade year. And we're heading up to Philly next weekend for the Made Hoops. Tori's on the a Nike Elite team. And
Okay, nice.
yeah, and they made it to the championship in King of Prussia in Philly. So that's the baby right there. She also acted, but she's now playing basketball and following in the steps of her sisters. And in fact, her 2 sisters coached her middle school team this year. And
Nice. I like that.
2016, and that's my oldest daughter. She played for Tulane and played UConn 4 times a year, and it was a great ride with them.
Yeah. You say play UConn, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, there were some games when it was like, oh my goodness. But there was one game where they lost by 3 points. And so if you know how UConn drilled most of their teams,
Right.
we really thought we might be able to sneak away with a win. But that was probably the best time, when the one time when you lost that you almost felt like you won. Right?
Yeah, right. True.
You came so close to beating.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me, my daughter used to play Marist.
Okay.
Right. And they just didn't do well against Marist. Right. But I mean, they beat Marist one time, because Marshall's making it to the NCAAs all the time, every year out of the MAC. And they beat them one year, and you thought we had won the NCAA championship, right? I mean, I was excited. They was excited. I mean, yeah. I mean, but basketball is well, sports in itself. Sports. People that are in entertainment, music, dance, acting. I mean, there's so much to learn. People who are artists, there's so much to learn about, and in all of those giftings and all of those experiences, man, that translate into real life situations. Yeah, and it was a funny thing that, and you're probably going to experience this probably somewhere down the line when you have grandchildren, then you start going to AAU all over again with your grandchildren. But I mean, and I'm looking forward to that. But like the crazy thing is what we miss. Like when my daughter played her last basketball game, I was like, what we gonna do now? All the AAU stuff and traveling, it's tedious, and then all of a sudden it's over. And you thinking like, man, what am I doing now? Our daughter's coaching, so we just follow her coach as a coach, like she was playing,
No, you're right. When it stops, it's kind of like, oh my goodness. And so for us, when it stopped after Taylor, then we had Tori 9 years later. So now the same families are at the high school and they know us, and it's like here we go with the last one. So it's not quite a grandchild, right? I mean, she's our baby, but we had many years in between from number 3 to Tori that we were able to take a deep breath, but realize we missed it, and then jump right back in. So it's been
yeah. That's truly just amazing. How much it was sometimes tiresome, but when it was over, we just thought about, at least me, I don't know about my wife, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was something very nice that filled the space. You get up, you work, and you say, oh, we going this week. We're going to North Carolina, or we're going to Jersey, or we're going to Philly, So, that was a great thing. And then my youngest son, since his, he played wheelchair basketball.
Okay.
So, there was no home teams, like it's like somebody right next door. The closest team was New Jersey, and then the next team was Philadelphia, and then you had to go to Richmond. I mean, so we were already just traveling, man, just traveling and enjoying it, enjoying the time.
That's it.
Yeah. So
but it's definitely a microcosm of life, right? And there's so many learning lessons that you're able to share with your children, and that they're going to get and pick up along the way. And the wonderful people that you meet and the family members that you meet, that become family, I should say, is an amazing thing.
Yeah, and remember out there that tonight this is interactive. So if you have some questions or comments, man, you just shoot them, and I'm sure Nicole will answer them. And I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Right, and with all that you have learned and all that you shared tonight, how do you see the things that now and projecting in the future and all things that you learned? And do you think that it could be the information or knowledge or this wisdom can be used in our churches to help our churches grow? Because we seem to be a little bit stagnant, whereas when I was talking about the NASA last week and the growth in the future, it seems so exciting. And I mean, researching you guys and seeing that, the people that were talking about the company and how excited they were with their growth and where the company was going and the people who were involved with them on that. How do our churches begin to project some of that energy? And can any of the information that can it be beneficial? Because sometimes we look at the world situation, we look at, okay, that's the world, that doesn't work for the church. And I don't see much difference, but in regards to growing ministry and marketing and being innovative in the church, and how do you think that? Where do you think the church should go from here?
Yeah, I think you raise a really good question, right? And I think different churches respond differently. And so I am pleased to be a member of Turner Chapel AME in Marietta, Georgia, with our pastor, the Reverend Dr. Tariway Richard Allen Wright. So if you know anything about AMEs, you know he's a true AME. He's got Richard Allen in his name. And I love my pastor dearly. But, I'll tell you, he has been very purposeful. And our dear pastor who's passed away before him, Reverend Pastor Bright, was his executive pastor. And they were very intentional about the strategic growth of the church, right? And you naturally knew things were changing. And when I first joined the church, we were set up in the purpose-driven church method and way, right? So you mentioned Pastor Warren earlier, right?
Right.
The purpose-driven church and their different purposes. And so we had purpose heads, and I'm actually on the leadership of the church, and originally was the purpose head for fellowship. And so this past year, we did a strategic analysis of what's working and what's not. Right. We talked to our members, and it was led and spearheaded by two of our members that really, it took 6 months to go through the process, and a rigorous process, very similar to that of organizations, right, that are seeking to continuously improve and not get stuck at maybe just being good. And so to your question, it's important that our churches are innovative as well, right? That we're seeking to continuously be our best selves. There's absolutely opportunities to take on a lot of the cutting edge ideas of the organizations, and ensuring that we're following through, from the biblical teachings. But when you start breaking down some of those elements, you recognize that many of it is in the Bible, right? And,
Right. True.
And so it's something that I think our churches have to be disciplined to do, and not get in their own way and get stuck with, this is how we've always done it. And I think that's what happens in many different elements. But I'm grateful to say at my church, we're cutting edge and innovative in our approach and in our way. And so we moved from, after the feedback and several meetings and really understanding the direction that we wanted to go, we moved from the purpose-driven pathway to core values. And so I'm now over the core value of loving others. And so ensuring that we're focused on loving others within our church, which is, similar to fellowship, but it's just it's taking a little bit of a different approach based off of the feedback of our members and the direction of the church.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. You throwing out some nuggets there, and no, yeah. And that was the interesting thing, is that I learned a lot over the years as the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and going to the conferences and national conferences, regional conferences, and going to the trainings and stuff like that. And I learned a lot from the human resource side, the resource development side, board development, strategic planning. All those programmatic designs. And yeah, so much to learn. It was difficult coming back to your organization, right? Particularly when board members don't want to go to those. They send you to the conferences, but they don't want to go to the conference with you. So you get excited about going, and all the, out of the box thinking, all the innovative and the things that have changed. Particularly in the business you're in, human resources change. Like the moment you take the new car off the lot, right? It's a used car. You see the phone that you buy tomorrow, man, is obsolete tomorrow, the next day. Right. And so it's all ever changing. So you have to be able to understand the practical applications that are happening and going on, and the church should be at the very top of it. And when it comes to growth,
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, I just had to ask that question because I know that during this pandemic, many churches, like you said earlier, were just stuck, and you also mentioned, and I want to find out if you got a favorite book, but you kept saying there is a book called Good to Great, right? And so yeah, and so when you kept saying Good to Great, I was like, I know I read that book, Good to Great, and that is an awesome book. Any other books
I'm reading one right now that my sister recommended, and it came out in 2019, but I just found out about it, and it's called Crazy Faith by Pastor Michael Todd, and
yes,
it is. I'm almost done with it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm doing it as a part of a book club with my daughter Taylor, who's a senior at Georgia State. But that's a book that I would highly recommend. Crazy Faith by Reverend Michael J. Todd.
Yeah, no. I was thinking about that. You kept mentioning Good to Great. I was like,
Yeah,
I know that.
that's one of my. I think that book is so critical because it really helps you identify how being good can be harmful, right? Because what prevents most organizations and what prevents most people for being their best selves is that they're good. And so, there's a constant internal pull that you have to, as an individual, and then as an organization, push to be your greatest self. And so Good to Great did that. And it's one that I try to read at least every 2 years, but it's a great book.
Yeah. And I was just looking around, and, today I was, people were asking me at the game, hey, what do you think about that play over there? I was like, which player? What do you think about the team? And because we've had so much success, so many great players come out of Mount Vernon, it's hard for some of the players that are currently, when you see them, they just expect, people say, you got any great players, right? When they ask you, your play is great. And, I always say, oh, we got a lot of good players. Right. And it's a question. I don't know if they know what it is to be great. Right. And because you can get stuck because you win balls every year, these gold balls every single year. And you're good. Right. And you can continue to win gold balls. But that, as a player, doesn't mean you're going to be great. And so a player has to get outside that box of being good so they can be great. And the same thing as people too. You don't want to sit around and just be good. Right. I always want to be great. Whatever I'm doing, I want to be great at it. So, yeah. Oh man. So real quick. So who's impacted you the most outside of a family member?
Let's see. I would have to say my first pastor, the Reverend Dr. Calvin G. Sampson at Shiloh Baptist Church in New Rochelle, New York. He was most influential in my formative years, and particularly, my Christian formative years. He baptized me, but he took me under his wings and really nurtured me. But not just me. He made every youth at Shiloh Baptist at the time feel as though they were equally important. And, when you look at the fabric of a child and growing in your spiritual discipline and really trying to be righteous and doing the best things for you, he was that nurturer. And, I'll never forget. And I really say this to my children often. He taught us this mantra and would have us every fourth Sunday stand up. And some fourth Sundays we would come to the altar, but we would always have to say, I am one, but I'm only one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I should do. And by the grace of God, I will do. And Lowe's, that is implanted within my heart, in my mind, in my spirit. And it was Reverend Sampson, right? Who really taught us that we were somebody, and that God chose us to be great people. But we have to follow in his way and study it, right? To be and to live in the purpose in which he put us on this earth to do. And so I would think, outside of my family, because I got some amazing family members, that it definitely would be Reverend Sampson.
Yeah, and he was before his time, man. My wife said, "Say that again, please."
Well, and I'll tell you, it must have made an imprint that I still remember this, right? But
oh yeah,
I am one, but I'm only one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I should do. And by the grace of God, I will do. And there was some weeks he would make us repeat, I will do. And we would just say, I will do. He said, say it louder. I will do. I will do. And that, as a child, right, makes you feel that you can do anything through Christ who strengthens you, right? And so, but Reverend Sampson, he was my guy. He still is.
Oh yeah, and he's a unique fella. Yeah, he's unique. I spent a lot of time because he was a big basketball fan, particularly in New Rochelle, and you would see him at the games and all those different things like that.
He loved basketball.
Yeah, he loved basketball. He was constantly a joker. I mean, he's a funny guy, man. I was like, man, he's sometimes pastors can be, not very friendly. Not him. I don't think he met a stranger.
Yeah, particularly to the youth. The youth can get on pastors' nerves, right? But he really took us in, and I'm proud to say that I'm able now to say I have done, right, at the end of that mantra that he had us repeat.
Yeah, I like that. And if you had take a few moments, like if a parent's out there, or if there's some youth watching, or a parent may, these interviews stay up on Facebook and YouTube. Like somebody called me right after I did the session with Ben Gordon. I did an interview with Ben Gordon recently, about a couple of weeks ago, and you don't know how many people call me or text me to say how many times they showed this to their son or their daughter. So you just don't know. So I always like to get the person to talk about or say something that may impact a young person.
Yeah, faith is my X factor, and I know it can be the X factor for every one of us. And so I would say the 3-prong of faith in God, faith in yourself, and faith in your journey. And I think when we really, as parents and as individuals, right, even as young people, recognize the importance of our faith and recognize that God wants us to be, we are his masterpiece, right? And his handiwork. And he wants us to live abundantly. And he wants to give us, and he has given us through his Holy Spirit, right, the wisdom to be able to do all things according to his will. And don't be afraid of the journey, right? And work hard at it, But if you make mistakes, it is okay. Because I will be the first person to tell you, as I mentioned earlier, I made mistakes along the way. And the grace that you are given through God, give to yourself, right? Don't allow yourself, or don't be too hard on yourself, that you don't allow yourself to just continuously learn and continuously improve and to stretch. And that journey, is going to be full of ups and downs and turns and straight pathways, but enjoy the journey. Take the time to love the journey, to appreciate it, to be intentional about your journey and your goal. And when you're faithful to God and faithful to yourself, that journey is going to be one in spite of the challenges, right? Because you will have challenges, there's no doubt, but you will be able to reap the benefits of a rewarding life.
Awesome. Yeah, I think my wife has a question for you. Is she gonna pop on here?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
No.
Hit the three. The three.
Hit 3. Okay.
How about now? No?
Are you on 3 or 4?
Try.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think she can hear me now. You can hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. What I love is the fact that a lot of people don't know that our parents were friends.
Yeah.
And so I remember even back in the day going to Shiloh and Deacon Adams and your mom. And I think your mom actually asked me to come speak once, I think.
You spoke
Many years ago. And so it was pretty awesome. I wanted to ask, the fact that you have parents that are so solid, and now you have an amazing family because you also have a solid marriage, right? What are some things that you have taken from your parents and have put in place in your family that you hope your children will take on into their families as they grow and mature? Because I think about, we grew up in a different time, right? You had 2 parents, I had 2 parents, right? We're raising you. We both have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And we're raised by 2 parents, and it's a pretty awesome thing. But I just wanted to know, like, what are some nuggets you got from Deacon Nate, Deacon Audrey, because they were pretty awesome. I remember them. Still to this day, I saw you guys, when my god brother, my God, rest his soul, passed away. Awesome parents. So talk about something you got from them that you held on to and that you are now sharing with your kids.
Absolutely. And it's that seed of faith, right? It's that connection to God, and it's seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all those things will come unto you, right? And it's important that as a family, in spite of all that we may have to do, right? All of the AAU games, all of the practices, that as a family, we seek God first. And that's being intentional. And when I look at my parents and what they instilled in us, I'll never forget when I would come home in the summers from college and wanted to hang out at night. My mom and dad would say, I want you to be careful, but here's what you need to know. On Sunday morning, you need to be ready to go to Sunday school with us. And I'll tell you what, there was some early morning Sundays I came in and just got in the shower, hadn't slept, put my clothes on and sat in the living room, but I was ready to go to church, right? But they instilled the importance of God and faith in us. And my husband also coming from a Christian strong foundation of a family, that's what we've done with our family. And as my son toured the world and was in Japan, one of the things that warmed my heart and I would just say, thank you, Jesus, is that he would tell me, I'm reading the Bible in a year and here are the devotionals that I'm working on. And you plant those seeds and you just pray on your knees and in your prayer closet every night that it will stick. And that they will be nourished by what is so important in our journey of life. And so, my number one nugget is don't let go of God. And I really think, sadly, whether you've got one parent or two parents, if your family is focused on faith and understanding that we can do all things through Christ, I think it just goes such a long way. And our family has been blessed. Not to say that we have not had any troubles, right? Or challenges, right? But you're anchored in the Lord.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's the doing right there.
I wanted to ask you one other thing. Is that all right, Lowe's? Because you're just an absolute diva, beautiful diva, inside and out. Now, I'm, tell me how you embrace that absolutely gorgeous hair. Because let me tell you, every time Gray tries to roll up in this thing, and it's trying to fight me now. It's fighting in my eyebrows. It's fighting me. It's fighting me. But girl, you got it. You just have this thing and you just glow. It's gorgeous. Every picture I see, I feel like you should be on top of like Essence magazine. Just gorgeous. But tell us, sister, like for the sisters out there that are listening, how did you jump into this gray-haired looking like you do? Because it's gorgeous.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Authenticity has been important to me, but I had another role model. I mean, I watched my mom mature well as her hair transitioned from black to salt and pepper to gray, right? And I watched her do it boldly, authentically, and beautifully. And so I was given, another model to say, this can be done, and you can rock it, and you can rock it well. Now, I did have a little bit of a struggle when I went from straight silver hair to natural. I'm like, I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm embodying it all, and this is who I am. This is my true, authentic self, and I'm grateful for it.
All right, I don't know what to expect in the next few months here. I may wake up one day and like, whoa!
I might see it off. Oh, you talking about Trace?
Yeah.
Come on, sis. I'm gonna be calling you up saying, listen, how did I do that?
Hey,
let it grow.
Hey, to death do us part.
You got to talk to Troy to talk to Lowe's to help him get through that. So
no, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm seeing a few grays in my hair.
That's my issue. I just want you to know my real issue is my husband is like his mom. They got like 3 gray hairs, no color, no anything, right? And meanwhile, I got these streaks of gray, like my parents going through and I'm like 6 years younger than him, so it really messes with me a lot. So I'm not ready because I don't want anybody asking me, did he marry an older woman? because
it's okay.
Because his hair is just straight black. I can't do anything about it.
Oh man, no, this is good. Yeah, I don't mind the gray hair, white hair.
But you listen, you're just gorgeous. So I'm just, and your mom is just, again, we both had those moms that are divas, like that are just beautiful, and so my mom is definitely like that. So I'm just grateful that you took the time to spend with us this evening. So truly, God is
awesome.
Good.
I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it tonight.
Oh yeah. So no, this has been good, and I hope that I hope that somebody's been blessed out there, and man, tell your family I see them popping up all over the bottom of the screen there. Everybody saying hello, and they look. Yeah, I see them popping up, man. That's the way you support. That's what family do.
That's right. That's what we do.
So Nicole, thank you. There was a Will Rogers. You know Will Rogers?
Yeah, that's my cousin. He's Mount Vernon. So he's
Mount Vernon. Well, I like to think that hopefully I was a mentor, a role model for the younger guys that came behind me. But I know for Will to be man, just a great young man. I mean, just an amazing young man. Was a good student, good athlete, man, and man, he represents the family well. So you do too. So Yeah, Will's on. I see Will up there every week. He pops on, and I'm thankful for that.
Yes.
Yeah, and my Aunt Joyce over there, Grace. She's
Okay,
at Grace.
Grace, okay.
Yeah, she works at Shiloh.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she works at Shiloh. I think she's the administrative assistant, or yeah, she's been there for a minute now.
Okay.
But she's a deacon at Grace.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Nicole, thank you very much. I'm excited. I'm sure we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.
Oh, no problem. This is my pleasure. And thank my wife. She's like, oh, you should get Nicole. I was like, okay, let me check out Nicole. Yeah. All right, get Nicole.
It's been great.
It was all good. So thank you. And so, again, I want to say thank you to everyone who supported this evening, the Blueprint podcast. And man, I hope you enjoyed the conversation, man. This is Nicole was awesome. There were a lot of nuggets and this time dimes dropped, and I hope that the show has been a blessing. Man, I love you guys. Hey, look, we're coming in this season where this is an important season, particularly if you are a Christian man, a Christian, and our Savior did some amazing things in this time. And so, and I know you guys are going to be I'm going to be praying for you. Of course, you're going to be trying to give up some things that you're going to pick back up when it's over. But I'm going to be praying for you that whatever you're trying to get rid of, that you're disciplined enough to get rid of it. And, hey, trust God, man. Love you guys. Thank you for your support. And look, have a blessed week. Like, may this be your best week this week. And like Nicole said, make sure everybody's going from good to great. God bless you.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.